Hi, Blastpop here. Today I'm taking a look at roads to Moscow, the battles of Mozaisk and Mtsensk in 1941 by GMT Games, designed by Vance von Boris. This is a continuation of a system, on the Eastern Front at least, and shares a number of similarities to many of his other games in the past. The one that this two-game set is close to, or most closely resembles, is Roads to Leningrad, a game which I've played fairly extensively in the past. Mainly the Battle of Soltsi, which is a nice, fast, mobile battle. Star of Russia is more of a set-piece type battle, from my experience. Both sets share in common two games on a related subject. In this case, it's on the roads to Moscow. It's packaged in a 1.5-inch size box and gives you the sample of one of the maps, which I believe is Mozaisk. And then it goes along and gives you a little bit of sense of history, a sample of some of the pieces engaged in the battle, and along with the complexity and solitaire suitability. This game system is nicely enhanced by the chit pull mechanism, so you're never quite sure what's going to happen next in the course of a battle. So its solitaire suitability factor goes up quite a bit because you can't exactly plan what your opponent may or may not do because it's unknown. Included is a D10 and plastic baggies, a rules book, rules of play series, weighs in at 36 pages. Back includes a nice detailed sequence of play. It's black and white, although very nicely illustrated. 2 columns per page. The rules are very well written and thought out. And don't leave much to chance, that's for sure. And you have rules for supply, strategic segment. Now the game's a battalion company level game, so you're down in the weeds in terms of small units, and while it's almost bordering on tactical. A few illustrations here and there, 2 columns per page, easy to read. Takes a while to read. While not complex, the rules are very detailed to try to make sure that all the concepts are fully explained. Additionally, we have the playbook, which includes the scenarios for both battles. Each scenario has some historical background to set the stage so you know the kind of battle that you're going to be playing. Errata for some of the counters in the game. Those counters are available separately through a previous issue of C3I magazine. Again, a expanded sequence of play. Samples of the counter sheets in case you lose one. We're not sure if you do or not. A sample of play. So there's no question that you can learn the game if you follow the example of play. Very nicely done. And then the actual setup for the various scenarios, which comprises a relatively few pages compared to the example of play in this booklet. So, and that weighs in at 32 pages. Also included are several charts and tables, victory point schedules, mobile and assault combat results tables, and there's different prerequisites for each. Your terrain effects chart explaining how the terrain on the board influences what's going to happen to your units. A one-sided turn record track for both battles. Color. Now what I do like, and I'm not normally a fan of setup cards, but because there's a number of units with specific setup locations, I find it easier to be able to look for all, say, the orange Soviet units, grab them all together, and all the blue box Soviet units and green box, and put them nearby, and to determine if I've got everything I need, and I put them on the chart, and then transfer them over to the game table. It makes life a lot easier for me. Again, normally I don't like it, but this kind of a set piece setup with very little free setup, it works rather nicely for me. I know some folks don't particularly care for it, but I think it's well suited for this particular type of situation. Nicely illustrated. Additionally, you've got more setup charts, all similar in terms of formatting. 3 sheets of counters. German counter sheet 1. Please pause the video if you want to look at something a little bit longer. These are the German forces, Wehrmacht, SS, and Luftwaffe. Backside. These are the White Corps, and I personally like the White Corps. Even though they're generally a little thinner, I think they look better on the table, and where a game like this sometimes can have fairly hefty stacks, it leads to less issues with respect to tumbled over stacks. Soviets. Down in the lower left you'll see the part of the Russian Air Force. Not all the forces are used in both battles. And finally, a few more Soviet units, and then system markers for the game. Very nicely done. We now have the map of Moisk, or however you pronounce it. Very cleanly laid out with a green hint for a background to the hexes. Storage boxes for the Soviets, and likewise down here for the Germans. Flown boxes, woods, trails, roads, highways. The town of Mozaisk over here. Terrain key in the upper right hand corner, just above the title of the map. And for Mitensk, this one is a little easier on the eyes, to the extent that it's a little more, it's not a little more, a little less crowded with terrain. Far left you have Orel, and the road to Mitensk. and on to Moscow. Similarly to the other game, or the scenario map, you have your setup boxes, for your holding boxes I should say, weather, as well as a victory point track, and flown boxes. Very clean. My understanding, this is out of print, and if you like Roads to Moscow, this one incrementally improves the rules and clarifies things. And in essence, you can use the standard rules for this set to use with the Roads to Leningrad as well. So it is an incremental upgrade in terms of the rules. Perfectly playable out of the box is the Roads to Leningrad, but the rule book, best I can tell here, refines what's in the series rules book. Definitely something that there is very few games at the scale on the Eastern Front, and this is a keeper, and it's Vance von Borries' design. So his stuff is all meticulously laid out, set up, and carefully published and developed. Please comment, like, and subscribe. This has been Blastpop. Bye.